I think street fashion is very interesting. It's a very intrinsic part of my culture and also British culture. And sort of websites like Sartorius, is it, and Style Scout, things like that. It's kind of interesting picking up on what people wear on the street. We're based in Spitalfields, which is a very interesting area. It's a very young, vibrant area. And if you're on a Friday night, you stand outside the Golden Pub, you can actually see trends happening over a period of time. Some things work and some things don't. But a lot of those trends are based on vintage and things that people are buying, particularly in that sort of area. So you are seeing, return to early 80s. I mean, so these two guys with slightly short back on the side and slight fringe, slightly higher rise trousers and white sort of painted Oxfords and wearing Ray-Ban Wayfarers and a buttoned-up shirt. Very 80s, but doing it a slightly different way. And you start to see things happening very, 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 very quickly. So because they're all very social, things that kind of work start to hang together very quickly.
Now, in the day, I seem to recall you were a big New Romantic. Do I recall correctly?
Well, I was interested in that as any sort of movement, and I think what I was interested about New Romantic was actually you could actually dress up. And I was also interested in the whole nostalgia thing. There was a film, a TV thing called Brideshead Revisited at the time, and I think it was all looking at things that were traditional, but kind of exaggerating them. And I thought it was very funny that you could be this different personality, and it was kind of experimental. And I think London is still true today, as a lot of other cities. There's probably 250, 500 people who are kind of trendsetters, and we were very lucky to get kind of caught up in that. I remember trying to emigrate to Florida for 2.5 weeks, and I remember getting dressed up in this oversized sort of green zoot suit and crimping my hair and putting on some makeup and going to this bar. And they must have been absolutely freaked out, and this woman very generously came over and said, well, listen, she'll talk to me. Came over and said, are you one of those punk rockers? And I said, no, I'm a New Romantic, flicking my hair like that. But it was a very interesting scene. Brands that we know of now were not so strong, and you had to really create your own kind of look. So a mixture of going to fantastic places like Flip, and buying second-hand and restyling it ourselves, buying old suits oversized and then having them taken in through the hip and hanging too long. It was kind of an interesting way of putting a look together, which I think is a very intrinsic part of British culture, is that kind of street fashion. We're very good at putting things together. So I used to hang around with a lot of interesting people, many, many clubs like Blitz, Club for Heroes, those sort of things. But I remember the Camden Palace turning on one night and Steve Strange on the door there in his Anthony Price suit with box-up blonde hair saying, only blondes tonight. And 2 of us were blonde and 5 of them weren't, so only 2 of us got in. What I enjoyed being quite a shy person is that you become a different character. And I think that was the interesting thing, because brands really weren't as strong as they've become. That kind of got me started, wanting to get into fashion.
Now, tell me, I've seen that emerging again, burlesque and the New Romantics.
Yeah, I think
it's,
as I've probably said to you and other people before, I think it's kind of turned full circle. Burlesque is kind of interesting. We have a fantastic girl working for us at the moment who has kind of her own alter ego, but she's quite a shy person, but I find it interesting that she likes to dress up to be somebody else, and is it DT1Ts. If you look, they're very different in real life, and I can relate to that. You actually become this sort of personality and have a lot of fun. But what I'm interested in is they're rediscovering, very traditional things, like the 40 star, and reinterpreting, and it's making it actually fun. And people are socialising, communicating, which has happened for the last decade. But we went through this sort of post when I was clubbing, I was at Acid House and dancing. And people forgot to actually interact and actually dress up. It was more about being comfortable and dancing as long as you possibly could. So it's a very interesting phase of